Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. This is the first hearing this month for City of Tempe Hearing Officer. My name's Vanessa McDonald. I'll be conducting the hearing this afternoon. We have a real brief agenda. I'm going to read something into the record and then we'll go right into our cases. The City of Tempe Hearing Officer is authorized by Arizona Revised Statutes and the City of Tempe Zoning and Development Code. The hearing officer has the duty to carry out the provisions and the intent of the Tempe City Code and the Zoning and Development Code. The hearing officer is granted the authority to conduct public hearings to decide upon the abatement of code violations occurring on properties within the city. These violations include deteriorated pools, structures, or landscaping, storage of junk or refuse, and inoperable or unregistered vehicles. Abatement actions are brought before the hearing officer by the city's Code Compliance Division, typically after numerous attempts at contacting the property owner to obtain voluntary compliance with the code. The hearing officer may issue an order directing the owner, occupant, property manager, or other responsible person to remediate a code violation or to authorize the city to abate the property. The cost of the abatement is the responsibility of the owner of the occurred and will be collected as an assessment against the property in violation. On today's agenda, we have 3 items. We have a set of minutes from March 19th, 2024, and we have 2 property abatements. A previously published agenda indicated that we had 3 abatements, but I was notified that agenda item number 4, which was the Sunrise Investment 3 LLC property, is now in compliance with the code, so the abatement is not happening today. Any property owner who's aggrieved by a decision of the hearing officer may file an appeal within 14 calendar days after the hearing officer has made a decision. The deadline for appealing any decision rendered today is 3 p.m. on April 30th, 2024. Appeals are heard by the Board of Adjustment, after which they may also be appealed to the Superior Court. A property owner has 14 days after today to either file an appeal or bring the property into code compliance. If neither of these things happen within the required 14-day time frame, the property will be abated by the city. Joining me this afternoon from Community Development are, to my left, Cassidy Hernandez and Sean DeFara. Thank you guys for being here. As I mentioned earlier, the first item on our agenda is the consideration of meeting minutes from March 19th, 2024. I had a chance to review the minutes when Cassidy sent them to me a couple of weeks ago, and I believe they reflect what took place at that hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and approve the minutes for March 19th, 2024. The next item on our agenda is a request for approval to abate public nuisance items at the Roosevelt E11 Even LLC property located at 606 South Roosevelt Street. The applicant is the City of Tempe Code Compliance, represented this afternoon by Inspector Michelle Van Etten. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer. Nice to see you. I'm here today to request a 180-day open abatement for grass and weeds in a vacant dirt/gravel lot at 606 South Roosevelt Street here in Tempe, 85281. This case was initiated on October 5th of last year for graffiti on a rear wall at that lot. I did send several correction notices to multiple addresses, all of which came back. I saw you for a hearing February 20th of this year, and you approved the abatement for the graffiti.
For the graffiti, okay.
So since that time, the graffiti was abated, and I'm constantly monitoring it to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So thank you for your assistance with that. I did notice that the grass and weeds were growing through that process. So on February 20th, I mailed another notice to all of the addresses that I had for the owner regarding the grass and weeds. And then I mailed a notice of intent to abate for the same grass and weeds violation on March 12th of this year in the hopes that they would take care of it. unfortunately, all of those notices, as with all the previous notices, were returned to me, and I can't seem to find a good address
Oh,
for
wow.
the owners. So the property remains in violation as of this morning, and I did go out this morning and take pictures. I'd like to show them to you now, if I
Okay.
may.
Thank you. Do we know if the taxes are being paid on this parcel?
They
when you?
are, and there are permits on file with the city to put some sort of multi-tenant housing there, and the addresses that I'm using are the same.
Are the same.
I
Interesting.
don't, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So all of the photos were taken from the city right-of-way. I was standing on the sidewalk on South Roosevelt Street when I took this. It is a dirt lot, and when this whole case started with the graffiti on that back wall there, this was graded dirt, so it should therefore be free of all grass and weeds, and clearly it's not. When I took this picture this morning, I was standing on 7th Street. So you see that the condos or townhouses there, when they're sitting on their balcony, this is what they have to look at, you know, 2-foot-high weeds. And then finally, this is along 7th Street. So in addition to being an eyesore, the grass and weeds have now encroached out onto the sidewalk, and it's creating a tripping hazard. So the owner is responsible for everything up to the street. So if you were to approve the abatement and let us step in and take care of this, that will be taken care of.
It'll clear
And
the
Yes,
public
yes, your
walkway.
Madam Hearing Officer. So again, I am requesting a 180-day open abatement to remedy the grass and weeds, in addition to the previous abatement that you approved for the graffiti.
Was the previous one 180 days?
It was, Madam Hearing
So we have a
Officer.
clock running on that one, and then this one would start anew.
Slightly after, yes, ma'am.
Okay, 180 day.
So, and just to reiterate, it's at 606 South Roosevelt Street here in Tempe.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Mr. DeFara, do we have anyone on the line wanting to speak?
Madam Hearing Officer, no one online.
Thank you. I'll make a note for the public record. There's no one here in the chamber other than City of Tempe staff, so there's no one here wanting to speak on this agenda item. Well, given the fact that the notices are coming back, returned, and, we're having a hard time getting a hold of this property owner, whoever they may be, the pictures speak for themselves, and the weeds definitely need to be removed or mowed down or whatever you need to do, particularly in the public right-of-way. So I'm going to approve your 180-day open abatement request for the property at 606 South Roosevelt. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer.
This brings us to the next item on our agenda. This is a request for approval to abate public nuisance items at the Kenton Brown property located at 1208 West Malibu Drive. The applicant is the City of Tempe Code Compliance Department, represented this afternoon by Inspector Hector Heredia. Good afternoon.
Madam Hearing Officer McDonald. As stated, my name is Hector Heredia. I'm a code compliance inspector for the Code Enhancement Division. I am here to request a 180-day open abatement for the property located at 1208 West Malibu Drive, which is within our city's jurisdiction, 85282. This case was initiated back on March 8th of 2023 for inoperable and unregistered vehicles, generally on the front yard. When I inspected, I also noted that there was lawn parking. That was added to the case, and a first notice was mailed to the property owner, Mr. Kenton R. Brown. 14 days later, on 3/24/23, at the following inspection, nothing had been done, and a final notice was issued to Mr. Kenton Brown. Shortly after, on 4/10/2023, anonymous complaints were received regarding junk trash debris pretty much across the front yard, as well as the noted lawn parking. A couple days later, I state on 4/12/2023, at the follow-up inspection, nothing had changed and additional concerns were added to the case. These concerns were entered anonymously via our website, indicating junk and debris, including a deteriorated fence that weren't present initially, but were verified, and a revised second final notice was mailed to the property owner. An extension was then granted in the notice with the updated violations to provide an ample amount of time for correction. On 5/12/2023, a first citation was issued after the property could not be brought into compliance. Roughly a month later, on 6/6/2023, I received a subpoena from city courts. Roughly a month later, on 7/13/2023, a motion to continue was filed by Mr. Kenton Brown and was granted.
Was he at the hearing? At court?
No, that he submitted an email, so he may have been at the VA. That's really where he gets his treatment from primarily, so he
Okay.
may have been there. Roughly about a month later, on 8/10/2023, I received the subpoena for the updated case from city courts scheduled for September 6th. But unfortunately, a couple months passed, and on 11/15/2023, after additional anonymous concerns were received, issued a third and final updated notice that also included junk trash debris, lawn park vehicles, and a deteriorated fence in the backyard, all which could be seen from public access points, regardless of its location from major streets or
Was there
roadways.
ever the hearing in September?
Excuse me?
So you received a second subpoena in August for a hearing in September. Did that hearing ever take place?
No. So time just kept going by as he was trying to schedule. I wasn't aware of anything until he failed to appear on that September 6th appointment.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't mention it, because he did fail to appear.
He just
and
didn't show up.
Yes, he
it.
just didn't show up. I apologize for any
That's
confusion.
okay.
So after the 11/15 revised final notice that also incorporated all the other violations that were on, I mentioned that on 1/31/2024, at this inspection, after noticing a deteriorated overgrown landscape, issued an updated fourth final notice incorporating all pending concerns. These concerns included a deteriorated landscape, both front and backyard, junk trash debris, mainly on the front yard, a deteriorated fence in the backyard, and inoperable unregistered lawn park vehicles on the front yard. All these violations were again visible from public access points, and hoping that something would be done. But on 2/2024, at the final inspection, after continual monitoring of ongoing concerns and uncompleted progress, also due to citation and multiple failed attempts to reach the property owner, submitted the packet for abatement today on 4/16/2024. Lastly, I state that I am here hoping that the abatement will be approved for a 180-day open abatement. As of today, this morning, this is what the backyard looks like at approximately 8:40 a.m. This is one vantage point. This is an opposite vantage point. This is the backyard as well, where we can see that the fence has been torn down, deteriorated, no longer operating as a fence. And you can clearly see that the entire backyard, including the back alley portion of his responsibility, is also overgrown.
Inspector Heredia, can you move the microphone closer to the?
Yes, sir.
There you go. Thank you.
This is a picture of the front yard where you can see that there's overheight pretty much across the perimeter of it. You can also see one of the vehicles that is currently lawn parked. This is just a closer view of the western portion of the front yard that is mainly overgrown. This is another view of the opposite side, or the eastern portion of the front yard, where we can see both inoperable or unregistered vehicles and the lawn park vehicle. Also behind the yellow sedan, you can see that there are numerous items, including a deteriorated tarp. We can see further deterioration and other loose items that should be properly stored. And finally, just a close-up view, or as close as I could get, of all pending violations, including lawn parked vehicles, overgrowth, inoperable or unregistered vehicles, junk, trash, debris, minusing the deteriorated fence, which is in the backyard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The pictures certainly speak for themselves, I think. Mr. DeFara, is anyone on the line?
Madam Hearing Officer, no one online.
Thank you. I'll make another note for the record. No one is here in the chamber except for City of Tempe staff, so no one's here to talk about this agenda item. Well, this one has been, I mean, it's a large abatement, and to your credit, you've given this property owner ample time. I mean, it goes back to March of last year, so it's been over a year since we've been trying to get this property owner to bring it into compliance. I understand he perhaps has some health issues, or, you know, has other things in his life that prevent him from taking care of this property. So I think it's more than past time for the city to step in and abate this property for his own health and safety too, because a lot of these present just health issues and safety issues. So I am going to grant your request for the 180-day open abatement for the Kenton Brown property located at 1208 West Malibu Drive.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much. Have a nice evening.
You too. That concludes our agenda. Mr. DeFara, any announcements?
Yes, one announcement. Our next hearing officer will be Tuesday, May 7th at 5 o'clock here in the council chambers and on Tempe Channel 11.
Okay, thank you. I have a quick announcement. Congratulations to Drew Yoakum on the birth of his baby boy, April 1st, 2024, 9 pounds, 1 ounces, and his name is Dominic John. So congratulations. So that being said, that concludes our agenda for this afternoon.